What's going on, guys? This is Mr. Teej 66's Movie Reviews. I am Mr. Teej 66. Today, in honor of the fourth film in the Predator series coming out this weekend, I'm not counting the Aliens vs. Predator films because those are complete garbage. I am deciding to review the one that started it all, the 1987 classic Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do I really need to even describe the plot of this movie? A group of soldiers, led by Arnold Schwarzenegger, are in the jungle to rescue some hostages. Along the way, they encounter an alien creature which hunts, like basically a sportsman, and they're his next targets. And that's really about it. And that's what I love about this movie. The plot is so simple. It is straightforward, to the point. There's not a lot of, subplots to bog the movie down. The whole hostage thing is just sort of the window dressing to get them into the jungle. I have to say, on the whole, this movie really does hold up very well. The military maneuvers, they look realistic to me. I have known nothing about the military, so maybe I'm wrong, but they had military advisors, but it really rings true, at least for my, idiot's eyes. Because Jesse Ventura, one of the actors in the movie, was a Navy SEAL, so he certainly adds a lot of realism to it. The jungle photography. This is some of the best, absolute best jungle photography I think I've ever seen, because it actually was shot in a real jungle in South America, and you can't fake it. The trees, the foliage, you never get any sense of what's, or it's hard to see, very far ahead in front of you. And the claustrophobic, believe me, actually the movie's claustrophobic as hell too, even though it's, in the wide open spaces. The tree lines, you're wondering, where is this thing, and I love how the movie gradually sort of introduces the Predator. We get a few point of view shots as they're heading toward the encampment, but just subtle little things. You see his hand, and then it flickers out, and then you see an outline, and I must say, the visual effects, I think, for the most part, hold up pretty well. I'm a little bit of a blue screen or a green screen sort of work on them, but on the whole, they're still pretty solid. The Predator vision, that still looks amazing. In fact, I think it looks better than any of the more recent films, which use CGI, and it's just not as effective, because they actually did shoot it for real, and then they, processed it. I'm not big on the technical stuff, but it's, it was really, the actors doing it, and it makes all the difference in the world. The action is kick-ass. First rate. This is directed by John McTiernan, probably one of the premier action filmmakers of the late 1980s. He went on the next year to do Die Hard. He also did The Hunt for Red October, and a couple other generic, forgettable action movies. Basic, which was and Rollerball, which was, oh god, what a piece of shit that was. All the mighty have fallen. And then he, of course, went to jail for illegal wiretapping. I believe he got out, and I hope he gets a second wind again, because this dude knows how to film action. It's simple, straightforward, not a lot of showy camera work. The attack on the compound where they have to, rescue the hostages, probably the big set piece of the movie, and it is just beautiful. Machine guns firing everywhere, explosions going off, guys falling out of a freaking tree. Of course, it's hilarious that the characters none of the characters get shot. But that's an action movie cliche of the 80s that you just have to kind of go with. Oh, gotta mention Jesse Ventura's, Gatling gun. That thing, old painless, that thing is fucking awesome. Although it boggles the mind where he's keeping all the ammunition and everything, but I'll get to that in my negatives. The casting, there's a reason why this movie works, and it's because of a big part of it is because of the casting. Schwarzenegger is... Really, what else could you say about Schwarzenegger at this point? He was a mountain of a man. His range is virtually non-existent, but he sprouts one-liners, of course. Everyone knows the one-liners. Throws the knife at the guy, sticks him to a post, stick around. Ah! And of course, you know what line I'm going to say. Get to the choppa! Which I really wish they would stop doing that in all the other films, because no one can deliver that line like Schwarzenegger, and it's pointless to even try. Jesse Ventura is probably my other favorite character. He nearly steals this entire film. Again, it's nothing but basically one-liners, but so memorable. I ain't got time to bleed. Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me. You've got Billy, played by Sonny Landham, who is sort of the Native American, spiritual. He knows something's wrong. You got Bill Duke, who has just this intensity to him. I love the part where he's shaving. He just shaves himself at some points. It's just this weird little quirk. Shane Black, who directed the new film, The Predator, he's in the film playing... Hawkins, that's his character's name, who has two pussy jokes, and he's probably the thinnest of all the characters, but it's okay. But those two pussy jokes are pretty funny. And then you've got, I can't remember the girl. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's okay. She doesn't really get much to do, and it just feels like the movie needs a female character, so it's okay. She's fine for what she does. She has a great scene where she talks about how, these seemingly these monsters have, these predators have been here before many times, because they would always find dead bodies in the summer and whatever, and that's a pretty chilling scene. Then, of course, can't forget the Predator himself, one of the most iconic monsters in movie history. The gun, the hand knives. Although, and then he doesn't actually have the spear guns and guns until the second film. So it's more basic in this film, but who could ever forget the head, the face when it comes off? And Schwarzenegger's great line, "You are one ugly motherfucker." It does look like a vagina with tusks. But I like the fact that the Predator is given, something of a character in this film. He doesn't kill people that aren't armed. He does have a sense of honor, and that's sort of expanded on in some of the other films, and it's here as well. Actually, a trivia note, I'm sure hardcore fans of the movie will probably know this, but originally Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to play the Predator because they originally had a different design for the Predator, and they showed it on the DVD features here, and it looks like complete garbage. I'm so glad they didn't go with that. And apparently, even John McTiernan went to the studio and said, because he filmed one shot with the suit, and was like, "You really don't want us to keep shooting with this, do you?" And the studio was like, "Nope, that's okay, stop." So they stopped, and they shut down, and they redesigned the suit, and then for the big finale at the end with Arnold and the creature, and I'm so glad they did, because I don't think this movie would be at all remembered for what it is, or not half as well if that creature design had remained what it was. It is just one of the most manliest movies I've ever seen. Testosterone, big muscles, big guns. There are times that almost feels like a parody sometimes. I really think that John McTiernan knows that, this is slightly ridiculous, and there's so much masculinity in the movie that it just becomes, not laughable, but very obvious. As for flaws, this is about as perfect an action movie as you could possibly ever have. It's a great sci-fi movie, it's a great horror movie, and a great action movie, all meshed into one. I guess my only big complaints with the film are Jesse Ventura's Gatling gun. I know nothing about guns, so maybe some military person is going to see this and be like, "No, you're wrong." But where is all the ammunition being stored? He has a backpack on, but it's like, where's all that ammunition? I'm pretty sure that thing fires off a lot of ammunition, and it's so big and unwieldy that even a guy as big as Jesse Ventura is going to have trouble, taking that thing around. Not quite gets to me, because, when it's in action, it's freaking awesome. The only other flaw, some of the characters I wish hadn't died so quick. That's all I'll say to that. I won't spoil who dies first, in case you've never seen this movie, which, holy shit, seriously, if you've never seen this movie, watch this movie. It's fucking awesome. But, I wish some of the characters had lived a little longer, because, they were just so much fun to watch. But, rating-wise, I give this movie, oh god, like a 9.6. It is just, every time I watch this movie, I love it. It never gets old. It never gets boring. It never gets dull. I've seen it dozens of times, and I'll probably see a few dozen more before I die. But 9.6 for Predator. Hopefully I'll be reviewing all the other films in the series as well. But anyway, this is Mr. TH66, and I will see you next time.